Welcome to another episode of the Rhythm of the Road podcast. This podcast is not just about the journey, but also about the growth, transformation, and self-discovery that comes with life on the proverbial road. Grab a cup of joe, buckle up, and let's embark on a journey of self-discovery, creativity, and entrepreneurship. Let's get rolling.
Try not to wait for it anymore. Try to give yourself some chances during the day to refuel yourself, even when you think it's not going to matter. What does that even mean? Why do refuel what? So many of the times we're just running through the day, we're running through our actions, we're doing our daily activities, our routines, our meetings, our sales calls, our phone calls, our family trips, our grocery store runs, our appointments, all of those things. But what if you had 5 minutes? What happens when you get 5 minutes during the day or 10 minutes during the day where something ends short or something starts a little bit late? Like, what are you doing with that time? What is your brain doing with that time? You don't really have an opportunity to start anything new because it takes a minute. And by a minute, I don't mean a physical 60-second minute, but a moment for us to transition between things no matter what. So, what about giving yourself those 10 minutes, if you have them, to just refuel yourself? What does it look like to sit there and close your eyes for 10 minutes and just either sit in silence or even just read a book for enjoyment? Like, keep a book right at your desk and something that's not like super involved or that you have to get so head drawn in or driven into that you have to like sit there and concentrate to understand. You can just kind of experience and take it in. Like, it just gives you a moment to refuel your brain, refuel your body, give your kind of whole person an opportunity to just chill. So many of us are trying to fill every second of every day. I was just on a call earlier today, and that feeling of trying to take time off during the week, it's like many of us, it hurts our brain. We're like, take time off during the week. Like, we're supposed to work Monday through Friday. Well, what if you work on Saturday? And then what if you work on Sunday afternoon? Do you take a day off and a half or even a half day off during the work week, the Monday through Friday, to compensate for that? Or are you just continually working all the time? And I know that this is something that I have struggled with like crazy. And that is work all week, do all the things all week, then gig all weekend, which is like basically another 30 to 40 hours of work in 3 days of time, and then just go right back at it on Monday. And something that I discovered was like, the body can only do that for so long. And all I could ever think about is, like most of us, like, when's the next vacation we're going to take? Like, okay, well, I'm going to leave here in a couple months. I'm going to go to the beach and I'm going to have a family vacation or even, a vacation with just my wife. And like, we're going to get away and that's going to be so healing. Well, we all know what happens if we're gone for that 5 to 7 days. It takes us 2 to 3 days to just like even decompress and live with the fact that we might not be working for the next 3 to 5 days. And by the time we get to that point, we might only enjoy a day, maybe a day and a half of actual relaxation. And then we're spending a day already preparing ourselves to get back into that grind. So you really only got 24 hours out of that 5 to 7 days, or maybe even 48 hours if you're lucky, that you actually were able to refuel. And really what you were doing is just bringing your fuel meter maybe to a break even point. If you're like me, you probably didn't even make it to a break even point. When you think about it from that standpoint, if we can take time throughout the day or throughout the week to just capture these little moments to just refuel for that moment, right? And so many times we think it has to be some big ordeal or a vacation or I have to get away or whatever. No, sometimes it's just those moments in between things. You're just like, nope, I'm putting my phone on do not disturb, or I'm flipping it upside down and just walking to the other room so no one has access to me. Or something that I've started doing, although it's cold here now in Minnesota, so I don't do this as often during the day, like just go for a walk. Just go, even if it's 10 minutes, to go walk around the block, literally just connecting And honestly, being out in nature is probably one of the best things for your person, because you can breathe that good, clean, open air, and it gives you a chance to refuel and connect. And there's just something magical about that, even if it's 10 to 15 minutes. Now, I'd encourage you to do more, but today we're talking about how do we capture those little moments, right? I'll do another whole episode on things that we can do throughout our week and throughout our month to like actually take care of ourselves. But I want to talk just about capturing those little moments, taking those little times. Here's one hack. If you're going to do what I talked about already of the I'm going to work all week and then I'm going to also work on Saturday, and I'm gonna sneak in a few hours on Sunday evening because nobody's really doing anything. And for those of you doing sales calls on like one-to-one kind of things, we know that that's the time when most people are home and not really doing anything, and are probably willing to pick up the phone. So honestly, that's actually a really good time to make those calls or connect with those emails or send those text message or one-on-one DMs. However, if you're going to do that, by all means do that, because you've just described you understand when your clients are going to answer and you're going to have those opportunities. Then when are you going to take the opportunity other days to not do that? One thing that I started, and this is very recent, so I'm trying to still navigate through it and still work on trying to get it a little bit better. Maybe future episodes I'll be able to talk about how successful it is. But right now I'm in the journey, trying it on, working it out, trying to figure out what works best for me. But I know like my Mondays are a very long day, like basically 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Pretty solid, not a lot of breaks, hardly at all. If I sneak one in, it's because something ended early or someone's showing up a little bit late. And then, yes, I do capitalize on that moment. But the other thing I did is I made Tuesday an office day for me. Basically, that's a day for me. So, like, if I need to run errands or I need to do something for me personally or for my family, or I just want to take the day for me, or I want to take the day to be creative and maybe record some podcasts and pour into some other people, but it's not something that takes a ton of energy away from me, but is actually refueling me. That's something that I'm trying on right now. Again, I'm telling you, I'm not super perfect at it or great at it yet, but ever since putting this practice into work, it makes the week a lot better. And if I have the opportunity where I'm not playing gigs on the weekend, I actually get the weekend. And then you start to feel like you might be only working that 30 to 40 hours a week over the course of 7 days. And that just feels better. And everybody wants to live in the hustle culture and grind, and they're working all the time. Like studies show, like 7 to 8 hours of work, anything past that, you're going to get diminishing returns because that's just what the body can handle. So if we can give ourselves small, momentary opportunities throughout the day or throughout the week to kind of refuel that and put more back in our bank of our energy and our time and our mental capacity, that does add up. So again, on a future episode, I will talk a little bit more about some self-care things, or, those driven kind of things that can help you better throughout the week, try to prevent some burnout kind of things that happen to many of us. But that's not what today's about. Today's about those little moments. How can we refuel now so they're not waiting every 2 or 4 or 6, or for some of us, we might not take a vacation but once a year or even every other year. So think about what the body is doing and what it's going through for that. Thank you again for taking the time to listen, to invest in yourself, and to come on this journey of this podcast and what I have to talk about. If there's other things you want to hear about, other messages, other things you want to know, make sure to either send me a direct message, put something in the comments below. If you're listening to this, please leave a review, subscribe, like the podcast, share it with others. I encourage you to share this with just one other person that might need to hear this message this week, because I know at least 10 people that would need to hear this, because I've had at least 5 conversations just in the last 2 days that is literally around this exact topic. So I know at least one. So please reach out to them, even if it's just to share the podcast and say, hey, I was thinking of you. You might want to hear a few of these things. So if you do, thank you. Have an amazing day, and make sure to keep refueling yourself, because the rhythm of the road is long, but it doesn't need to be hard, and it certainly isn't lonely.
Thanks for cruising with me on this episode of Rhythm of the Road. Remember, the journey itself is the destination. Until next time, keep the rhythm flowing, and we'll see you down the road.